Hey, hey, look at that. I think. I think everyone can hear me. I think we're live. I see Rich Ross, and I'm Chris Gomez, and here we are, Dev Talk Show on September 15th, 2021, after a little bit of time off. Are we hearing you, Rich?
Let's see. Can you hear me?
I think so. I think so. I might be a little quieter than you, and maybe I've just fixed that. I'm not sure. But in any case, glad to have you with us, whether you are watching live or watching in the future, as all of our shows are recorded and saved on YouTube. And we see Bruno is here live. Bruno Juliao is here. You know, remember we were back in the Malvern MTC, and our friend Bruno would join us. And so it's really great to see you. And we do not have Andy tonight, but should be back next week. And that's it. We've had summer and people have been busy and there's been a lot going on, and it's also kind of been maybe like a little bit of a slow news summer. I don't know. That just sounds like an excuse.
I think there's been plenty of news. I don't know how much I've been able to pay attention to, but
that's true.
Especially technology news.
And we have Richard joining us. Thanks for that warm welcome.
Yeah, good. It's nice to know you can go away for a couple of weeks, and some of the regulars are still able to find you again, which is awesome. So,
well, especially because
Richard,
we didn't do much of anything to let people know. We just said let's see if we can go live tonight and remember how to do this. So,
yeah, which is why we're 20 minutes late, because we kind of forgot.
It's like, hold on a second. Why isn't the audio going out to the stream? Why isn't I'm hearing the music twice?
I'm hearing myself.
Yeah, I'm hearing myself again. Is that going out? Is that getting doubled? So anyways, here we are. And there's a lot going on as we wind down 2021. I mean, just in the Microsoft world, we're like a few weeks away from another Windows and a Visual Studio 2022, I guess. I don't know if there was a release date for that, but certainly the preview's out there.
Yeah, well, we certainly have .NET 6, which is November.
I think the plan is to announce it at .NET Conf, but I don't know. Certainly that has been the pattern for the last couple of years, and we know the date for that. And Philly.net will be back on the air. I don't think the meetup has been updated for Philly.net, but
it is not.
It looks like October 6th is Philly.net will be back on the air. I don't have more details, but we may have a show between now and then, and we can certainly let folks know. But it looks like the plan there is for Philly.net to try to get back to twice a month until we can get through the end of the year, and maybe have a code camp early next year. That would be cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff looking forward. Bill and the rest of the team's trying to put in place. There's the link. All of the information around those other events are going to be posted as part of Meetup, so you'll be able to see. I'm guessing he's going to be using Teams again. We haven't specifically heard for sure, but they had some good success with that. So I know the schedule for that is October 6th. They are going to do Visual Studio 2022, .NET 6, and one other topic related to all that was C# 10 as part of that first night session. 2 weeks later, on October 20th, I'm going to do GitHub, mostly talking about GitHub Actions and some of the other things that are related to that. So that's a plan for a talk there. And I think, Chris, you're going to maybe do a talk in November, right?
So I'm looking at this tentative calendar, and it just says Chris. So What that means is that everybody here gets to see, like, who knows? I've thought about a couple of things, and I'm not sure. I think, as you know, we will probably, before then, I hope, get a chance to play with .NET Interactive, which I'm really interested in. But I need to learn a little more about it. I think it's fun to bring up a notebook and like start in one language and then switch to another, and then have that data be shareable. Notebooks are just cool in general, and whether they're Python notebooks or the interactive ones where you could start and